I'm here this morning to share my masterclass on what's hot, what's not, and what's new in social media. And as you all know, as digital marketers, social media arena changes on a regular basis, specifically very much within social media algorithms, the features and the types of content that we need to be posting out online. So I'm going to give you quite an in-depth hour in terms of giving you lots of content for you to take away. It's not at a basic level, it's at an advanced level. But if at any point you have any questions, I want to make this quite interactive, as it is called a masterclass. So please ask your questions, get involved. Again, I know that we're also live streaming. There's people coming through on the Twitter account. So if anyone sees anyone on the hashtag asking any questions, then please do reach out and ask on their behalf. I'm happy to answer them for you. So first of all, like Andrew was just saying, I'm Zoe Cairns. I'm based in Kent, the other side of the UK, just in opposite in obviously Heathrow. I do travel all over the world, and I started my business about 10 years ago. I used to be a mortgage broker. And when I was a mortgage broker, my boss said to me, you need to start generating your own leads. And I said to him, oh, wow, okay, how am I going to do that? And he said, well, you need to start going out, networking and meeting new people. And for me, that was a challenge because I'd never done that. And I was the person at school that put my head in a book thinking, oh, I don't want to be the one to be picked on to read out. But I took it and I went and done lots of networking. And my friend then told me about Facebook. And Facebook at the time had just come out, and I'd gone on Facebook and I thought, how on earth can I use this for business? There's people falling into the gutter, there's people in fancy dress outfits. How am I going to use this in a professional manner? So I decided to have a look around, and I saw something called groups, and I used the search bar in Facebook just like I would Google. So I thought, right, who are my target audience? And they were property investors. I wanted to get in front of property investors and help them build their property portfolios. So I typed in property investors in the search bar, and all these groups of property investors appeared, and I thought, wow, there's my target audience. So I joined about 10 groups, and I just started to have a look around the groups and just engage with the people that were in there. And I didn't want to spam them because, some people go in groups and they start spamming with loads of links and just being broadcasters. But I went in there and I thought, I really want to add some value to these people. And when I went on there was this person that had put in there, can I mortgage a property above a laundrette? And I knew the answer, but as a mortgage broker, you can't give advice online. So I just said, look, you can mortgage a property above a laundrette. However, I can't give you advice online. Give me a call. And guess what? It was my first lead from Facebook. And from there, I become known within the groups, become this influencer in the groups. As I was the mortgage broker that people would start to ask questions. And I found that social media was a great tool in terms of the recession of me generating those leads and inquiries that I needed to get me by. In 2010, recession really did hit, and I decided to leave and go off on my own. And I set up my company in my bedroom, which I never thought would take off. But now we're an established agency down in Kent, and like I mentioned, we do lots of different things to help both small businesses, and we work with some really big brands as well. As Andrew mentioned, I do a lot of TV media. These are some of the countries that I've travelled to and spoken in, and these are some of the brands that we've worked with, ranging from the likes of NATO and NATO School, where I've trained over 150 soldiers from 6 different nations how to use their mobile on the battlefield, right up to working with big brands like Ann Summers and Brother, where we're looking at social media analytics, really analysing what their audience are doing and the buyer behaviours, and how we can really look at that impact and that influence and really get that message out to their audience. So a range of different things that we cover. But I'm not here to talk about myself for the whole hour. I'm here to give you some really, really key content and to talk about how often social media is really changing. Social media changes on a daily basis, and for us to keep up, if we're doing other stuff within our particular role, we need to be on top of it, because if we don't change the way that we do stuff, we're going to get left behind and we're going to miss out on that opportunity that's right there that could actually then be removed within the length of a couple of weeks. Sometimes new features come out, people jump onto it, get some great results, and then we're too late by the time we've jumped on and to really harness it, to really see that benefit. So social media does change every day. However, your strategy shouldn't. There's only certain parts within your strategy that need to be amended when these changes happen. So how many of you have got a social media strategy? Just a raise of hands, let's see. Okay, if you haven't got a strategy, I'm going to give you the basics of the strategy, but do come and see me afterwards. I'm happy to share my slides, and I think that you get them anyway, of the different things that you need to consider when putting your strategy together. So, part of your strategy. Oh, I've found the clicker. I don't need to stand here now. So strategy, what's important? First of all, knowing your goals and your objectives is really key. There's lots of companies that I would sit down with on a consultancy basis and they say to me, social media just doesn't work for us. We've considered it as an awareness campaign, but we really want to see this conversion. And when I sit down with them and say, right, okay, let's have a look at your overall marketing plan and then look at your strategy, they haven't actually set goals and objectives of what they actually want to achieve. And it's there that I say to them, well, if it's not achieving what you want it to achieve, how do you know what you want to achieve if you haven't got goals and objectives? And this is one of the most important things that you really need to consider. So what are your goals and objectives? Number 2 is thinking about who are your target audience. So what we do with all of our different products and services, and I do this with my clients as well, is brainstorming who your target audience are. And we use some of the social media platforms, especially Audience Insights. Does anyone use Audience Insights in the audience? Yeah? So Audience Insights, for those of you that don't know, is on the back end of Facebook when you create ads within the Ads Manager part. And Audience Insights is quite a handy tool that will allow you to analyse the people that are already engaging on your page, but also looking at other companies that are very similar to you, as to the people that are actually following that page. And it goes right down to their age groups, their locations, their interests. It goes down to what radio shows they listen to, TV programs they watch. It's very in-depth. But you can also create other audiences around that as well. So your target audience is really key, because when you know your target audience, it's then about what social media platforms they're engaging on. There's no point trying to go on absolutely all of them and thinly spreading yourself across too many, when actually you could spend more time on really focus on one. So target audience is really key when selecting those platforms. What about influencers? How many of you are doing influencer marketing right now? Okay, any challenges? Anyone having? Lots of people are still asking me about whether do we use big influencers or micro influencers. I definitely think that the way forward is micro influencers with smaller communities, but they've got a bigger engagement rate than some of these bigger influencers that are out there. Bigger influencers are coming more diluted. They're being managed by agents, and there's not so much of that personal contact. But influencers are a really important part of your strategy. How are you going to use influencers with your different marketing campaigns to really help you get your key messages out there? And one of the tools that we've been using with quite a few of our brands is something called Tribe. I don't know if any of you have heard of Tribe before. Anyone use Tribe as a brand? Yeah, Tribe is a really great influencer marketing platform that allows you to go and put out whether you've got a product. I know that I've just connected with someone on Swatch. Is that just there? Yeah, lady just there. I've connected with someone on Swatch on LinkedIn when Andrew brought up the app. But let's just take Swatch for an example with using Tribe. If we were to go on Tribe, what you can do is say, I would like influencers to post an image of them wearing the swatch within a lifestyle image. So it could be anywhere. It could be in different locations. It could be within a certain theme that you're trying to do. And then what this does, it goes out to all the influencers on Instagram. They have the app on their phone. They can submit their pictures and you can then accept them or not, but you then pay them a fee. So depending on how many followers they've got will then depend on how much you pay them. And you can barter as well with them. It's a very interactive platform. You can get them to add hashtags. You see the post before it goes out, but most importantly, it's got a lot of analytics in there. It's not about the amount of followers they've got, it's about their engagement rate. The engagement rate is the most important analytic that you're looking for when it comes to influencer marketing, and Tribe allows you to see that before you even get that post out there. So it gives you all of those analytics. It gives you a great report to follow up. But influencer marketing is a really great strategy that you can use within your social media activities, and something you need to consider. It might be that you don't have a budget for influencers, but you can do something more on a contra basis, where you provide them an experience in return for them posting out, doing a review. So there's lots of things you can do with influencer marketing right now. So once you've selected your social media platforms, it's then looking at the types of content and features that you can start using to really get your messages out there. We've got VidBuild here today. Video is really key with our strategies because of the algorithms that are now present on these social media platforms. And I'm going to go through the algorithms in a moment. But video is one of the most important medias that we need to use when we're thinking about the types of content that we're creating or curating for our social media postings. And video is favoured by the algorithms. It says if you use more video, I'm going to give you more reach. I'm going to show more people your posting. So video is really important. Do watch out for VidBuild's presentation later. They're again Kent company that know what they're talking about, but video is really important to be implementing. Looking at monitoring. So monitoring should be part of your strategy. Lots of people are still just broadcasting, let's just post it out, let it be out there. But monitoring is really important. Again, it helps you increase your reach. And Facebook, in the way that they've changed the algorithm, really want that community feel. So they want more people to be engaging and having that community feel to their posts. So wanting you to ask more questions, wanting you to involve your audience in more posts, making sure, and this is why Facebook Live is really great, because they're getting that interaction back. So monitoring is really important to make sure you're monitoring what people are saying, you're getting back and really giving that good customer service feel. Listening as well. What's going on within your industry? What are people talking about? What could really spark some great social media content for you? Some questions. What content is working for you? So social listening is another important one, to know about your sentiment values, to know about what people feel about your brand, to know how people are relating to it. How relevant is it? Even down to looking at your social ads, your Facebook advertising. How many of you measure and monitor your Facebook advertising? So, I wish I did have a flip chart up here, because I'm going to give them to you anyway. Maybe you can write them down. Does any of you know the 3 main important things that you need to consider when you're running Facebook ads? Anyone want to know? Yeah, so when you're running Facebook ads, lots of us just go on, we create the ad, we use audience insights, we'll create the audience and put all the creative together, and then we'll run it. And then we'll get notified at the end to say how much we spent, how much reach we got, how many clicks we got. However, don't do that. Download the Facebook ads app on your phone, and it's got some really in-depth analytics, but there's 3 important things that you'll really need to consider when your ad is running. Okay, number 1 is looking at how many, if it's a link click or an engagement post, it's looking at what call to action you've applied to that ad to see how that's running. Are you getting enough click links? Are you getting enough engagement? Are you getting enough people react to your post? If you feel that it's low and you don't feel that it's enough for that particular post, then you then need to consider what the frequency is on your posts. So there's a frequency figure metric, and when it gets to over 3, you need to pause it. So if I think that my call to action results are low, I will then check my frequency. If my frequency is high, I will then pause my ad. Does that make sense? Because then I think actually people are seeing it too often. So therefore, they're probably actually clicking on there to say, I don't want to see this again, which is actually telling Facebook this is very spammy and therefore don't show as many people, which is reducing my reach and reducing the call to action reactions. Make sense? Now, if the frequency is below 3 and it's only 1, then I want you to look at the relevancy score, which is the third thing to have a look at. Relevancy score is where Facebook will say, how relevant is your ad to your audience? How relevant is it? How are people reacting to it? Are they taking action? If your relevancy score is high, that's a really good thing. It's a score out of 10. Anything over 5 is a good relevancy score. Anything under 5, you're wasting money on an audience that is not interested in your advert. So therefore, pause it. Make sure you're monitoring your advertising. Make sure that you're getting as much from it as you can. You know, I've just started to work with a really small business in Rochester where I am, and they've not explored Facebook advertising. So we've done the first awareness campaign just to see how it goes. And I started running it over the weekend, and in total we had over 600 clicks, a relevancy score of 9, which was really good. So it was really relevant to their audience. But what I'd done in order to get the audience for their advert, because it wasn't to their existing customers, it was an acquisition ad, I went and created a lookalike audience of their current audience they've got on their page. Does that make sense? So when the ad went out, it was very relevant because I'd created that audience already that I knew would like their ad. And they phoned me on Monday saying, we've got 25 orders this morning that we don't know who they are. They're new customers and they're going to places that we have never even thought about going. So it's really great when you can start to have a look at audience insights, start monitoring your ad to make sure you're getting as much from your money as you can, rather than wasting it on an ad that will continually to run, even if it's doing well or not. Okay? So, what changes and affects your strategy when social media changes on a daily either a daily or weekly or monthly basis? These are the things that you need to change within your strategy when things do change. So these things stay very static, but your selected social media platforms will change. It might be that you now think that your audience are now jumped all onto a new platform and there are not so many left on this particular platform. A little bit like, I suppose, Twitter in a way. A lot of our audience left Twitter and went on to something new, but there's still an audience there. It doesn't necessarily mean to say that you've got to leave that platform, but it might be a new platform that you want to explore because everyone's jumping on to see how it's working. Also, your content and your features are going to change. This could be a monthly to a quarterly basis that you're updating your strategy. But how will your content change? Your content will change in the types of media that are changing. It could be down to you're now doing Instagram stories. You're now doing AR. You're now doing 360 photos. So this was where your strategy will update in the types of content that you're using, but also the features that you're using as well. Now, if you change the type of content and the features that you're using, your measuring will also change. So if you start using more video, you need to consider the types of metrics that you're using and also what you need to measure in order to get those results that you really need. Does that make sense? So these are the things you need to consider when social media changes. So what changes in social media? Algorithms and features are the most things that change on a regular basis that we think we've just harnessed the power of the algorithm, we've got it right, and then all of a sudden it goes and makes a tweak and we're like, wow, okay, we now need to go out and test. So us as a company, we've got lots of testing profiles where we're going out testing different content. We're making sure we know what we're talking about because we're working with big brands that we can't just go and do the testing for. We need to know what we're doing. So we've been doing a lot of testing. The things that I'm going to share with you are really working at the moment. So take them, trial them, see how you get on. You might already know it, but I'm sure there'll be something that you learn along the way. So social media algorithms. How many of you know about the Facebook algorithm? Raise of hands. Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know whether I can get a flip chart here. Maybe I can draw it up on the... I don't know if we've got... Andrew, do you think that Aaron could get a flip chart? The Facebook algorithm has been around for about two years plus now, and it's when they went public, they thought, okay, so now we're going public, we need to earn more money, we want to make more money on Facebook advertising, get more businesses to pay for the advertising, but how are we going to do that? So they brought out advertising, and they then thought, okay, we need to decrease people's reach on their pages, because before, whenever we posted on our Facebook page, would get seen by the people that like our page. And this is why likes are not as important anymore. It's not about how many likes you've got on your page, it's about the engagement rate. So what happened is that they thought, right, we'll decrease the reach, but how are we going to determine what someone's reach is on Facebook? And for any of you that don't know what reach is the number of people that we get in front of. So they said, okay, we're going to put something called an algorithm in place. And the algorithm will determine when we post something, how many people we show. Okay? So there's a structure, which when I'll show you in a moment when the flip chart comes, of what post gets the most reach, and it depends on the weighting of the post. So Facebook have now brought this algorithm out, which if you Google, it's like this massive algebra bit of code, but I'm going to give it to you in simple terms. But number one, it looks at your affinity. So number one, it's affinity. So affinity plus weight equals engagement. So affinity plus weight equals engagement, and that's in simple terms. Now affinity is how often and how frequent and how you engage with your audience. So if you just go on Facebook and you post stuff out and you leave it, Facebook say you just want to be a broadcaster. You don't care about your community. You just want to broadcast out your message. So if you're not going back and liking people's comments and communicating back, Facebook see you as a broadcaster. And therefore that affinity part of the algorithm then says, right, okay, if you don't want to communicate back with your audience, I'm not going to show as many people. You need to make sure you're communicating back. And a real tip on that to get more reach from that particular part of it is that if I put a post out, say I put a competition out and people I said one of the things was to tell me something about you, and everyone put comments in. If I go and like them all on day one, okay, so Facebook then acknowledges that I'm going back with a quick response, I'm liking their posts. If there was any that were really customer service based that had to get back to straight away, I would. But then what I would do the next day is go back and comment back saying thank you and good luck with the competition and build rapport with my audience. Because what that does is, number one, it tells Facebook that I've got back to them straight away. But on day two, when I go back and comment back, it brings the post back to the top of the feed in order for people to then engage with more. So it actually gives you more reach, extends your reach. So a really great little hack there in terms of creating more engagement for your posts. So that's affinity. Make sure you're engaging. Make sure you go on other pages as well to engage as your business. Have that community feel. Make sure you're asking open questions, but have that affinity factor. Now the weight of your post. Anyone can think about what that might be? Anyone? Weight of your post? So there's different weights to the types of posts that you put out there, and it goes in a structure. The more weight on the post, the more reach you get. At the bottom of the structure is a piece of text. Facebook say, don't be lazy. If you just put in a bit of text, I'm not going to show as many people. It then goes a link. If you post a link to go to your website, which might be a blog post or it might be a web page that you want people to go, Facebook say, I'm not going to show as many people because I want as many people to stay on Facebook because we've got people paying for ads, so we need as many people staying on the platform. The next one is picture. So picture gives more weight in a picture, gives you more reach. Then is video, that you actually load straight into Facebook, not a link to YouTube, that would come under a link, but you've then got a video that you upload straight into Facebook. I call it a native video that runs straight away. And then you've then got Facebook Live. Okay, that's got a lot of reach at the moment. It's got more weight within the algorithm structure, but the more live you use, the more your reach increases. Okay. Now, lots of people say to me, well, how can I get around posting a link? because I want more people to come to the website, I want people to see my blog post. What I do, again, another little hack in terms of really gaining that reach, is I take the preview window out. So when you put in a link in Facebook, it opens up the image and the link for the website. I delete that out and upload an image and just put a link in, a shortening link in. Does that make sense? So I'm putting a picture and a link and a bit of text. So a picture's got more weight. So it's a little way around not having that. Okay, it's really hard for me not to explain it via a flip chart. Is everyone getting me so far? Yeah? Anyone that's not, make sure you come and see me afterwards and I can explain it through. So that's the Facebook algorithm. When you start engaging with people and you start thinking about your postings, it's then that you can then get more engagement, which really helps your page. So the Facebook algorithm is the most complicated one. It's the most strictest one as well. You know, Instagram is owned by Facebook. Instagram are changing their algorithms. They changed their algorithm a couple of days ago, saying they no longer want people using automation tools to go and comment on pictures. You know, I hate those pictures when I've put up a picture of me with a selfie on Instagram and someone says, "Nice view." I think it's my face. And it's just, you know, it doesn't sound right. So they're cracking down on those automation tools and saying, you know, if you're using those, we're not going to show as many people. Okay, so just keep those in mind. Twitter has an algorithm, but you can turn it on and off within your settings. And LinkedIn has an algorithm as well, which I'll share with you how you can really overcome that too. So every platform's got an algorithm. Again, I've just mentioned the Facebook algorithm, but most importantly, these were the recent changes. So the recent changes were Facebook wants you to be engaging more. They want you to be making your Facebook environment more of a community. And this is why you're probably seeing on your personal profiles more recommendation posts and more group posts now at the top of your feed. I don't know if any of you have noticed that recently. All the groups that I'm members of, all those group conversations are coming to the top of my feed. And it's because Facebook want you to have that community feel. To have that community feel, ask open questions on your page, get your community engaging, and that is really working at the moment, asking those open questions. Polls are really good as well to get people involved. User-generated content, get your audience to really engage with you. Facebook have realised that you just pumping out your constant brand messages is not what people want to see. Use some of your customers' testimonials, them with your product, them in a video. Get those user-generated content posts out there. Lots of people struggle in how you could use this, but you know, there's lots of different ideas out there in how you can use user-generated content. Anyone using that successfully at the moment? Anyone? Okay, anyone want some ideas? Come and see me afterwards in the exhibit hall. And rich media. Use more Facebook Live, use more video, use more images. Instagram algorithm, again, this is quite a small slide in terms of the text, but just going over, with Instagram, on your feed, it's not about who you follow, it's about what you're engaging with, and this is, it's completely different to Facebook. So say, for example, I followed all the same people as a colleague in the office, but she was engaging more with, makeup, and I was engaging with animals. Our feed, just because we're following the same people, would be completely different because the types of hashtags and conversations we're engaging in. So everyone's feed is different. It's about what they're engaging with. So Instagram algorithm gives everyone a unique feed, and it's not down to the weighting of the post. It doesn't matter if you're using video or you're using pictures, it still gives the same weighting on each of the posts. But what it looks for is your timeliness, your interests, how often in frequency you're using the platform, which will determine how much they show the people your posts. If you're just going in to put a post out and that's all you're doing and you're not engaging, your audience will drop, your engagement will drop, and Instagram will again just see you as a broadcaster. They say there's no difference between a business and personal profile. I think that that's not right. I feel that there is a massive difference to personal and business profiles. The minute you change your profile over to a business profile, they think, oh, this is a business, they want to spend more money on ads, they can spend more money on ads, so therefore I'm not going to to not allow their audience to increase as much as it can, or the engagement, so therefore then businesses invest in the adverts. Once you have changed over, you can change back, which is why I feel that sometimes having a personal profile first, building it to where you want it to be and then converting it is the right thing. And you can use tools like later.com that gives you some really great Instagram analytics in the meantime. So it's not as if you've got to, if you revert to back to a personal profile, you've still got tools like later.com to give you those analytics that you might need. The LinkedIn algorithm, native video is doing absolutely amazing on LinkedIn. So creating a video and uploading it. I had a video, and you can go and find it on my profile, and it's all about how to create campaigns. And the campaigns, I put the video out, and it still, after 3 weeks, was getting engagement. It was quite amazing in terms of the response I was getting, and still thinking my video's still coming up. And even in down to images, I'm probably getting about 4 or 5 days where I'm still getting people engaging with those images as well. But native video is a real key one. If you can take a video and add really good value, not just a video about, hi, it's me, here I am. It's more about giving them really great content. And, you know, VidBuild and my husband back in the office, he was like, oh my God, how bad is that video? And VidBuild probably would have said, oh my God, that video is really bad. But you know what? It done really well. It was one of those off-the-cuff videos that half of my head was cut off and it had a flip chart. It was quite funny. You have to go and see it. But it done so well in terms of the message and the content going across. Make sure you contribute and engage. Again, LinkedIn is very much like Facebook with the algorithm. Make sure you're going back and contributing. If you're just putting content out there, then going out the platform, LinkedIn identify that. You know, LinkedIn is all about networking with people, contributing to each other. And then the use of URL links are very much like Facebook again. They don't want you to be putting links in there to take people away from that platform. So very important that you make sure that you're not using links on a regular basis. Make sure you use 1 out of 4 is links, and the other is really good content that you're keeping them on the platform. And then consistency. Make sure you're regularly updating your posts on LinkedIn to be seen. But again, the algorithm makes sure that you have that consistency. Thank you, Andrew. So how can we get the maximum from those social media activities? These are the new features that I highly recommend you look at. Anyone using any of these at the moment? Stories? How many of you are using stories? Wow. We're all digital marketers in here, right? Instagram stories have got so much, they're getting 10 times more engagement than any other type of post at the moment. If you're not using Instagram stories, I recommend that you do your first one today and just see the engagement you get back. In terms of profile visits, link clicks, going back to your feed and engagement, really have a look at those Instagram stories. So first of all, I'm going to have a look at Facebook Live. How many of you are using Live? Okay, live video, really great on the algorithm spectrum. Remember I told you about, let me see if I can get down here. Remember I told you about the algorithm structure? Am I okay here? You can still film this, right? So the algorithm structure, this is the type of post, and this is the reach. So you've got text, link, picture, video, and live. That's video, that's picture, that's a link, and that's text. So live video will create more of a reach on Facebook, okay? So with that reach, what I always say to people, if you don't really like Facebook Live, think about something that you can really do in terms of getting that Facebook Live. It doesn't have to be you in there. It could be a team member. It could be someone quite extrovert within the office that likes to get out there and they're very spoken. It could be a tip. It could be a panel. You know, this would be really great if anyone wants to do a live in the break, actually. Let's do it for DigiMarcom. And let's have, 3 people where we talk about, could be a subject that we talk about. So it could be what's the trending thing in digital marketing at the moment? What do digital marketers need need to be aware of. What we can do is put them in a panel, and then your viewers can then ask questions. So if you've got an iPad, we are just answer questions. It's like being in a living room, speaking to your friends, but it's going out and broadcasting. If you can really add value, what will happen is if you can do one of those a week, your reach will really go up high. And then what will happen is that reach will maintain for the next 2 to 3 days. So then if you're posting other things throughout the week, like your regular pictures and your links, you've still got that reach of people that did engage with you on that video, that then they start to see your other posts as well. It really helps in building up that engagement and warming them up and keeping that consistency over the week. Does that make sense to everyone? It's about having a structure with live video as well, though, having a good plan. Now, the reason why I really emphasise Facebook Live, how many of you in here have heard about Facebook Watch? Oh, wow. Okay. Facebook Watch is rolling out now. And what Facebook Watch is, I'm just going to get back up on the stage. Facebook Watch is a new feature that Facebook are launching, and it's going to be like having your own YouTube channel within Facebook. So it's not YouTube, but it's very similar. Now, what that is going to consist of is that it's going to consist of all of your videos that you've ever uploaded onto Facebook, and it's going to be where people can see all of your video playlists and the videos you've uploaded. But what's most important, if you do regular videos, it might be that you can start creating your own series on Facebook. So when you do Facebook Live, you want to encourage people to subscribe to your videos. So then every time you then upload a video, they'll be notified. Does that make sense? So it's becoming like an internal YouTube channel within Facebook. It's being rolled out. If you've already got it, you've got like a little video play button on the bottom of your mobile on your Facebook app. You've got like a little play icon, and then you go in there and you'll see all the pages that you like and their videos. So video is really key. Again, I emphasise Vid Builder here today. Video is where it needs to go. It's really important within our strategy. Facebook Stories, how many of you are using them? Anyone? How many of you have got a business page? How many of you would like more engagement on your business page? Yeah? So Facebook Stories. Facebook Stories are a bit like Instagram Stories. And what's great about this now is you can now, when you do an Instagram story, it can now automatically send it to your Facebook story. But we want more people to see us, right? Because the reach has decreased on Facebook. How can we get seen more in the feed? Okay, so Facebook Stories, when you go to your Facebook business page, you'll now have on your logo icon a little blue plus button, just like Instagram. And if you click on there, or it'll be in your feed where it says Create Story, if you click on there, it brings open your camera. And you can take your photo and you can add all your icons. You can now do polls in there as well. You can add your location, you can mention people, and it's now interactive like Instagram. But when you post it, what happens is it will come up into the people's feeds that have liked your page with your little logo, and it's presenting at the top there in stories. Not many businesses are using this right now, and it's a great way to get in front of more people before everyone else jumps onto it. So is anyone using that at the moment? So it's a really, really great little strategy. You can do like a post that says, come to my Facebook page for my latest update post on so-and-so, or our latest blog or free download, all of those types of things. And again, it's coming up into people's Messenger as well. A lot of people use Messenger, so it's coming up in their Messenger feed too. So, let's look at Instagram Stories. Instagram Stories is on Instagram, obviously, and when you go in there, it gives you the option to create a story. Now, this is where most people are going through their stories rather than through their Instagram feed. They just want to watch them as they flick through. And again, there is a specific audience for this, so you need to make sure that your audience are actually engaging on that particular platform. But Instagram Stories is a new way to get out to, we've been using it for acquisition, more for retention. So we use our Instagram feed for retention, we use the Instagram Stories for acquisition, finding new customers. Now, what happens is on this is that you can create your story opens up your camera, and this is my lovely husky, the nearest thing that I could take a picture of for this presentation. But on here, what we can do is it allows us to put different features on the story, so different buttons that are going to get us that exposure. Now, 3 important ones that you need to include. Number 1 is the location. So if you're thinking on going into a new location for business, you're launching a product within a certain area, you want to put your location. Even if you're not there, the location will still come up. What happens is when you post this story out, everyone that follows you can potentially see your story. But if you put a location, what it does is it takes your story and then puts you in the story about Heathrow, for example. So everyone within the Heathrow area will then see your post within that Heathrow story. It's a very great way of getting in front of people within a certain location. So location is important. I always add the location as an opportunity. The other one is your hashtag, including a hashtag to again get in front of people that are following a hashtag stream of conversation, but also they create stories for different hashtag interests, topics and places. So if you've used the location and you've put Heathrow, but you also want to do hashtag London, you can do both of those and potentially get into both the stories of those locations. Or you could use, we've just been working with a big fashion brand, we've done lingerie, so we've done hashtag lingerie, which not only gets them into the London story, but gets them into a lingerie story as well. Make sense? And then the other little one that I use that always really works is if we've not got anyone in the picture that we're mentioning or tagging in, we mention ourselves. Only because they then click on our name and then they go and follow us. It's a great way to get them to our profile. So another little tip there too. And they've just launched a couple of weeks ago questions where you can now do a question. So ask your audience a question. So I might say, what's your burning question about Facebook? People can type in their question and it sends me all the questions and I can then reply to my audience with the answer, which is another really great quirky little feature that get your community engaging more as well. We do a lot of voting. The other big tip is, if you do a vote, so say I'm picking on Swatch again, I'm sorry I'm picking on you, but let's just say you had 2 different Swatch watches and you say, which one do you prefer? This one, and they might say yes or no, and there'll be another story saying, or this one, yes or no. Now the people that like the swatches, if they say yes, you can see everyone within the 24 hours that voted yes. You could then follow them in the hope they reciprocate to follow you back, that when then you do campaign posts about that watch, they hopefully will then take action. Does that make sense? So another really little key thing there too. So once your stories only last 24 hours, make sure you archive the ones. If you're running big campaigns, brands run different campaigns at different times. If you're doing ones where you're traveling, if you're doing ones where you're going to different events, you can archive your stories into something called highlights, and it keeps and archives them there so people can see them. And you can create those little icons and story templates, so it can be all on brand. It's very restrictive on types of graphics you can do on the Instagram stories within Instagram itself, but you can create Instagram templates by using these platforms. But there's also an app on your phone called Unfold, Unfold. Unfold is a really great app. You can create multiple templates on your phone if you want it for quickness, and always have that template on hand. Okay, just going over how much time have I got, making sure I'm on track. Using relevant hashtags is really important. There was some news recently that Instagram come out saying that marketers are saying there's a shadow ban, and actually that's not true. Did anyone hear about shadow ban? Yeah, so they then said that marketers are making it up. There's no such thing as a shadow ban. Shadow ban was where us marketers thought that when you use a certain amount of hashtags and you use the same ones over and over again, Instagram see you as a spammer, and therefore they'll prevent anyone else other than your followers from seeing you. Okay, so they said, right, okay, we're not going to allow anyone else to see you if you're being lazy and using the same hashtags over and over again. There's something there that if you use the same hashtags over and over again, we've done tests, there is something there, whether it's shadow ban or not, there is something there that's preventing people, if they are using the same hashtags, then it is blocking any type of engagement or further following. So make sure that you're using different hashtags, and I'm going to give you a tool in a moment that will give you different reactive hashtags each time. But use 8 or 9 hashtags, not too many. Don't overdo it in terms of spamming. Use a real-time hashtagging tool. Monitor and measure the performance from those hashtags, and then check the hashtags your competition are using as well. Now the tool, everyone got a picture of that, yeah? Just in case you're taking pictures, don't want to move on to the next slide in case. Okay, so this is the tool. It's called Hashtagger. It's a red little icon with a white hashtag. It's available on Android and on iPhone. You can download it, and what it does, you put in the topic of your hashtag. So I've put makeup, for example, in here, and it searches and it finds in real time anything related to makeup, the hashtags that people are searching for right now. So if I'd done this tonight, this will be completely different. So I'm then using different hashtags each time, but I'm using relevant ones now. So it's actually searching the platform of Instagram of what people are actually looking at currently in this moment in time, and giving me the relevant hashtags that I should use. Always go for 2-word hashtags rather than 1 word. It's better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish. I always get this wrong, but it's better to be seen than not. I always get that wrong. But what you can do, some people have said to me, well, do I have to go through and write them all down? What you can do is just click on the pluses on the side of these, and then you click copy and it pastes them straight into Instagram for you. So it's very easy. But remember, don't overdo it with hashtags. Only use so many. Otherwise, it'll just look too spammy on your post. Anyone know about that app before? Hopefully you've learned something with that. And what about Instagram TV? How many of you are using Instagram TV? We're still not sure about this one. We're still not sure whether it's going to get as much traction as we think. We think Facebook have put Instagram TV because of the Facebook Watch, so where it's going to combine together. But Instagram TV is very much vertical videos, which are okay, but if you're doing the likes of vid-build videos and videos where you're professionally doing them, it might not be that you can turn them around. I don't know whether you've got well, I'm sure we'll find out later, but maybe that's a question. Can we do vertical videos in vid-build? That would be really great if we can. But then it is very much vertical videos on Instagram TV. I found that I got more from doing a live video on my Instagram story feature than I did when I done my Instagram TV. It actually saves your live video into your Instagram TV so people can find it, but I just felt I wasn't getting as many views because people still don't know about this particular feature. When you go on your home, at the top right, you've got a little icon with a TV on it, and you can go and create your TV channel on Instagram. And I think it's just where they're getting us into the process of setting up that Facebook Watch and how it's going to combine with Instagram. So give it a try. Okay, so and then there's LinkedIn. You know, it's not new, but native video is still very current on LinkedIn. It's still getting that traction. It's still getting a lot of people engaged, and LinkedIn love it. They're bringing it to the top of the feed. More people are seeing it. It's getting more engagement for me. If I want to get my message across, then LinkedIn native video is where I want to be putting my messages. So I've got you've got a little icon on the desktop which has got video. You can upload it from your computer. You can do a video via your webcam. It's not live yet, but I'm sure they are going to bring that feature into play. And then on your mobile, you've got a little icon there as well, and you can upload it straight from your mobile. So it's very much on the go too. Okay? So when these new features and the different types of content come about, it's really about making sure that you're revising your strategy, that you're not just going out there and trying to do something and they're not measuring and monitoring what you're doing. It's always really important to start to look back over that strategy and make sure that you're using it for the right reasons, not just because it's a new feature. You know, it's great as personally we can do that, but as a business we need to make sure we're measuring absolutely everything that we're doing, that we're not wasting time and resources on something that's not working. So revise your strategy. When you revise your strategy, make sure that you have got the selected social media platforms that you need for your audience or for the client's audience that you're looking to get in front of. Making sure that, you know, the platforms that you're using to the best of the ability. You know, I find for some of my clients, posting on the Instagram feed is not where it's at. They're completely stories, because now they're over 10,000. We're up to 300 and odd thousand followers, we've now got the option on stories that they can actually swipe up and go straight to the website. We get a lot of traffic coming through that with one of the brands, and it's a great traffic generator, more than it is on the actual Instagram post feed. So that's why we use Instagram stories very much within their strategy. So make sure you're selecting the right platforms, but most importantly, the right content and features for what you're trying to do. And when you do that, make sure you then think about what metrics or what new metrics do I need to be measuring and to set up in my dashboard that I can see every week and every month to be monitoring, to make sure that what we are doing and what we have changed and revising the strategy is now working to the best of its ability. And if it does need to be changed, to be implemented, so you're not doing the same thing over and over again that's not working. Really, really important. How many of you use measuring tools like social media management measuring tools? Anyone? Okay, so the likes of Sensible, your Data Studio on Google. There's lots of different tools that we can be using to measure our social media activities. So make sure you keep up with the updates. You can follow me on Facebook. I've got a business page called Zoe Cairns on there, and ZT Social Media. Follow the likes of Social Media Examiner, that's got lots of really key information about social media updates and information. And if you've got any questions, come and let me know. Has anyone got any questions quickly before I finish? At the back. Oh, have we got the cube?
My question is about hashtags on Instagram.
Yes.
I see people use them and overuse them,
yes.
Certainly way more than 8 or 9. And I was wondering if you have data that shows that people actually, that those hashtags actually do lead to traffic.
Yes, so there's...
I always avoid them. It looks like spammy to me.
Yeah, no, of course. And there's with some of the brands I work with, there's a preference not to use them unless we're doing a campaign hashtag. For smaller businesses, we do use them in order to build up their engagement and their audience, but then at a certain point we might then switch them off. Does that make sense? So it depends on where you are within the journey. AgriPulse, and there's another resource called it's RIQAL. I'll give you the full link if you come and see me afterwards, but they've got reports of different industries and the different hashtags that are trending within those industries that are getting the traction, whether it's engagement or whether it's click-throughs and call to action. So there's definitely research that you can find, and I'm happy to give you the resources that we look at when we're working with different industries. Is that all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyone
there's
else?
another one over there.
One at the back. Hi.
I'm Siddharth, co-founder of Notify Visitors, a marketing automation and CRO tool. So my question to you is, LinkedIn, of course, for a business like us, a very good source of leads because they are decision makers. Is there anything that you have found specifically which has worked for B2B companies on LinkedIn to get the right lead of decision makers?
Yeah, there's we have a content strategy for B2B, as it's a little bit more harder in terms of, making that initial contact and then the conversion. What we find really works is that, if you've got 3 posts of really great content and value of information, and then you've got a post of you going out and doing stuff and getting out into the B2B arena and engaging with each other, and then taking pictures of you within that business community and tagging people in that were there, that really sparks conversation and engagement. For me, when I've done that, I've then got people viewing my profile. So like yesterday, Andrew tagged me in a post that I was going to be here. I then got people viewing my profile. If I go on there and see someone that I think actually would be a really good contact or someone that I could work with, I then say, thank you for viewing my profile. It'd be great to connect and great to catch up. Not a sales message, but that's what really, really works on LinkedIn. It's more about that networking factor than constantly putting out your constant sales messages. If anyone's got any more questions, do come and see me at my stand. We do something called Social Media in a Box for small businesses, but also we do consultancy. I help big brands with social media campaigns and analytics, but also manage some big brand social media as well. So if you got any questions, come and see me afterwards. Do follow me on social. Got any questions afterwards and too hesitant to talk about them here, come and see me. I'm more than happy to help, and it's been a pleasure to speak to you all this morning. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Joey. So, thank you.